One of the most common errors I see in papers where people are quoting from sources is the floating quotation. And that's a quotation that's just plopped in. It has nothing attached, no other words attached to it, no phrases or clauses attached to it. And sort of like a beam that isn't properly held up, it doesn't really help hold up the points within the essay if it's not properly attached through words. So again, floating quotations are not attached to the sentences around them. It needs to be attached by a phrase or clause that identifies the speaker and or the situation in which the quotation is stated. Sentences that establish the specific context or situation in which the quotation appears in the original source are very important. So here's an example of a paragraph I wrote. It includes a quotation that a lot of different people used in their essays, and it's kind of a complex quotation in a way because it describes two different situations. This is describing something that Jimmy Cross is thinking about. He thinks about Martha. He thinks about why Ted Lavender died. The speaker is not identified in this example. This is an example that is a floating quotation. Lieutenant Jimmy Cross and the things they carried is filled with guilt because while he is distracted by fantasies about a girl named Martha, one of his men is killed by a sniper. He pictured Martha's smooth young face, thinking he loved her more than anything, more than his men, and now Ted Lavender was dead because he loved her so much. Cross decides to burn letters and pictures that Martha sent him. In this paragraph, the context, the exact specific situation in which the words appear is explained and the speaker is identified. Lieutenant Jimmy Cross and the things they carried is filled with guilt because, while he is distracted by fantasies about a girl named Martha, one of his men is killed by a sniper. After the man, named Lavender, is killed, Cross and his platoon wait on a chopper to pick up the body. Cross sits away from the others. The narrator says of Cross, he pictured Martha's smooth young face, thinking he loved her more than anything, more than his men. And now Ted Lavender was dead because he loved her so much. Cross decides to burn letters and pictures that Martha sent him. So now the quotation becomes more powerful in your paper because the reader understands, oh, this is a pretty intense moment here. This is a moment when Lieutenant Cross is putting two and two together. He's realizing these fantasies of Martha are making the situation more dangerous for himself and his men. Establishing the context even makes it easier for you to add analysis. It's like you've got those things put together for your reader, and so you can bring home some main points you want to make. It allows your reader to understand kind of the intensity of this moment and why Cross feels this guilt, that's part of your main claim. So you tell your reader, this is happening as they're waiting for the chopper to carry away Lavender's body. Cross is thinking. He pictured Martha's smooth young face, thinking he loved her more than anything, more than his men. And now Ted Lavender was dead because he loved her so much. This is a turning point for Cross who has tried to escape the realities of war through his fantasies. Lavender's death makes the war real to Cross, who decides to burn letters and pictures that Martha sent him. There are other ways, of course, to introduce the quotation other than just having a phrase that says, the narrator says. You can use a complete statement that introduces the quotation, as long as it sort of lets you know what that quotation is about, attaches it somehow. So here's my example. Cross is described as sitting away from the others, apparently lost in thought. Notice I end that statement with a colon. A colon is sort of like an open door. And this little description is opening the door to what Cross is thinking about. He's lost in thought. He pictured Martha's smooth young face, thinking he loved her more than anything. Another thing you can do that works well to attach a quotation to your discussion is to embed parts of it into your sentence. So see what I've done here? Cross is described as sitting away from the others. He thinks of Martha's smooth young face, in quotation marks, and how he is guilty of loving her more than his men, in quotation marks. He believes Ted Lavender is dead because he loved her so much, in quotation marks. Notice I've changed the verb tense to make it fit with the rest of the paragraph, and I just put that in brackets to indicate that I've made a change there. So I hope this helps those of you who had problems with floating quotations in your last paper, and it will help you avoid them in the next paper.